Hello from my 34, just chilling in my hotel room, literally cranking the AC always. I'm super grateful to be in a hotel room on my 34, which is one of the many perks of being a sleeper truck driver for Gemini. This is like at least my third attempt to make this video, and every time this chair is kind of like moving involuntarily. Every time I try to make this video, I end up deleting it. So this is at least my third attempt. And I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna try, and maybe I'll get it done, and maybe I'll put it up for you guys. I don't normally ever talk about money on my channel because it kind of gives me the ick. It's not something that I feel great about, and it's never been my primary focus in my life. But the reason why I decided to directly address money in the title of this video is because there are people that I really want to reach that I think are more likely to look at this video simply because of that title. So I'm going with it. And it is accurate, the fact that I basically more than doubled my income overnight by getting into fuel hauling and working for Gemini specifically because we earn hourly pay at this company. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. And I really want to reach out to drivers who feel the way I felt before I found myself in this amazing opportunity. I felt despondent. I was starting to feel hopeless. I had been trucking for over 2 years, and no matter what I did, I kept switching jobs because I thought, well, maybe this will be better. Maybe this will be better. I'm a very curious person. I like to try new things. I have a passion for doing things that are scary or intimidating, and I kept wanting to just sort of do something different, do something new, go to different parts of the country based on who I was driving for, stuff like that. So that's part of why I kept switching jobs, but also because I felt like my investment of my time and energy and passion were not gonna be met at the companies I was at. They never were. And the thing that was so frustrating is that pretty much every job, every recruiter that you talk to is gonna sell you a bill of goods. They're going to tell you what you want to hear so that you start working there, and then they string you along. And this pretty much happened to me everywhere else that I worked. This is the first time I work for a company that actually does what they say that they're going to do. I can't really say enough good about the experience so far. It's been awesome. It's really been life-changing for me. And so there's a couple of things I want to do. I want to encourage other drivers who feel the way I felt before to know that there's more out there that you may not have considered. And I also want to encourage people, especially people who are just getting into driving or who are thinking about it, to understand that the things that you do, so this is really important. I really want to get this across. The things that you do, that your company is telling you to do, that you have to do as part of DOT mandates when it's, whether it's pre-trips, post-trips, just being on top of things, paperwork, doing everything correctly and by the book. It can be very difficult to stay motivated to do things the right way when you're working for people that don't care about you and are never going to meet your investment halfway. So that's kind of who I want to get through to in part. There's a couple of different things I want to get into. I'm sort of trying to figure out how I want to narrow this down and not make this video a million years long and then no one's going to want to watch it. But I also want to reach out to people to consider doing something like fuel hauling who never ever thought they would want to do something like that, because that's how I felt. Even a year ago, if someone had told me that I would be doing this, I probably would have been shocked to think that that's even a possibility. One of my first days training on my first trucking job, which was a flatbed job, I freaking love flatbed. The person who was training me told me a horror story about someone that he had known who was a tanker truck driver that got in some catastrophic accident. I didn't know what he was talking about. I didn't know enough about it to really understand it, but I just remember I even said to him, I was like, well, I'm never gonna do that. I would never haul tanker. That's way too scary. Then when a friend mentioned Gemini to me, and he told me, he was like, go on YouTube and look up Gemini female fuel hauler or something like that. And I think that's what I looked up, and I found immediately one of the first videos that came up was a video by a guy named Lonnie, who is a Gemini driver, and also I believe his daughter is a Gemini driver. He talked about that in this video. He was interviewing this woman named, I think her name was Mia, and she is somebody who had worked as a flight attendant for a long time before she got into trucking and ultimately ended up in fuel hauling. And just hearing her talk, I was like, I relate to this woman. This is a person who has worked in one of the tougher ends of the service industry, if you could call it that. I feel like it's a higher level for someone who is working in airlines. It's a really intense job. She has to deal with a lot of stress in a job like that, or she had to. I could just tell by the things that she was saying and what she was saying about the physical aspects of doing the job, I was like, if she can do it, I could see myself doing it. So that's part of why I wanted to talk about fuel hauling specifically in this video, or like tanker slash hazmat, because those are areas where you can earn a significantly higher income than you can in other areas of trucking. And I want people who are like I was, who think, oh, there's no way I would ever do that, or who are just, when they think of tanker, they think of fuel, they think of fiery crashes. Well, obviously there are certain risks that are greater in an area of trucking like this. But what I've learned in my time as a driver, which is albeit short, 2.5 years now, is that the things that you're afraid of are things that you're the most afraid of are things you don't know about, you don't understand. And the thing that's sort of the antidote to that is learning more and experiencing more. And the more that you gain experience and practice, you can trust yourself, you can know that you can handle certain things, because if you're a person who has good practices, who does things correctly, you know that you have a lot of control over how things go on a day-to-day basis in trucking. Granted, there are a lot of variables that we deal with, weather being a major one, but to me, the scarier thing than weather is other drivers, especially other truck drivers, to be honest. Like car drivers, stress will be a major source of stress, or four-wheelers in general, but other trucks, there are a lot of people out there doing the job that really shouldn't be doing the job, unfortunately. So part of what I want to emphasize is, and I'm sorry I'm meandering a little bit, but what I want to suggest to anybody watching this, especially if you're newer and you have thus far a good, clean driving record, is to really know that, you might be working for a company like Schneider, like I did in the beginning, and feel like, how in the world is it going to get better than this? I'm running through my 14-hour clock. I'm pulling in an abysmal amount of money to give up so much of my time. I'm never home, and I'm also not getting anything to show for it. When you're in a situation like that, which I know all too well, it can be so difficult to feel motivated to do things the right way. That type of life breeds resentment, and resentment can lead to doing things half-assed, because you start to feel dejected, and you start to feel like, what's the point? The point is that it's your driving record, and that the potential is there to earn if you keep your driving record on point. And so you have to sometimes pay your dues. Now, it's not a rule that paying your dues, quote unquote, in trucking means always working for terrible pay for a long period of time. That's not necessarily the case. And more you can get pretty good trucking jobs early on if you do your research. There are companies that will hire less experienced drivers, and I know some people have some strong feelings about that. I understand that for sure, but you don't have to feel relegated to taking the lowest paying jobs because you're a new truck driver. So that's something to think about, and a good reason to do your research and see what's out there and who might consider hiring you, because there are companies who say the reason they'll hire someone new is because they want to instill good habits with that driver from the beginning. They want to get a driver before that driver has developed any bad habits, and sort of get them, a healthy foundation to be a good driver. If you're a newer driver, do everything as best you can. Look at your truck every day in detail. Make sure that you do your pre-trips and post-trips. Make sure you're checking your tire pressure. Make sure you're checking your oil. Do those basic things, those simple everyday things that keep you moving on the road safely, and that establish that you are a good driver. Keep your logs accurate. Okay, let me go on a little side tangent here, because this is really important, especially to those of you who are new getting out there. There are so many shady ass companies, which you may or may not know, who have people running double sets of books, all this crazy stuff. I've talked to someone recently who had told me that they were working for a company like that, which blew my mind, because they went from a good reputable company that doesn't pay well to this company where they're making, in theory, a really good amount of money, but it's on a 1099, so they don't have any of the protections that are built into having a W-2 job. They don't have unemployment insurance. They are going to get taxed out the ass at the end of the year, because that company that's paying them these supposed huge paychecks is going to claim every cent of that money that they paid out, because they have you illegally classified as a, what is that? It is a misclassified employee or whatever. So they have you as like a contract worker, so you don't have any rights. It's not smart. And then the other thing is, if you're gonna do a job where you're running more than one set of books, you're doing things in a way that's illegal, you get pulled into a weigh station, and this is not something that I have experience with personally. I'm saying this because I have been told about it by other people, and I'm just like, you did what? I know that a lot of like old timers had experiences like this back in the day, so to some people it's just kind of funny, but to me I just personally, I would rather keep myself out of trouble. I don't want to deal with stress. I don't want to have to worry about having something happen that is going to put my livelihood in danger. Like, why would I want to do that? So yeah, this person I was talking to said that the company told him that if he gets pulled into a weigh station, just say that the other driver got off a couple miles back. He quit. And somehow, supposedly this worked for this driver, but the whole thing is stupid. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to your driving record. And then the other thing is, if you're working for these unscrupulous companies that don't give a shit about you, guess what happens when there's any kind of more serious thing that happens, any kind of an accident or a ticket or whatever? Those guys do not have your back. It's all going to fall on you. It's going to come down on you as a driver, and it's not worth it for short term. You think you're making more money when you're not, because you got to pay the IRS. You should, because you know they come after the little guy. Anyway, there's my little side tangent. Don't work for scumbags. Don't do that to yourself. It's not worth the risk. Okay, that's my spiel on that. That's my little lecture. So do your stuff correctly and good companies will hire you. Don't get tickets, don't speed, don't do dumb stuff, use your signals. And okay, here's another thing on that, kind of on that point. A lot of people really don't like having cameras on them in the truck. I get it. I've had cameras on me at most of the jobs I've done. One of them only had outward facing, and that was kind of nice, but it does feel like an invasion of privacy, especially when they have audio. I worked for a company that I worked for them 2 separate times, and I figured this is what they were doing, that within your first month, they'll send you a video of something. It's like they're doing it just to let you know that they're watching you. And the thing that I got dinged for was, I've lived in Chicago for a long time, and if you don't do a rolling stop, you will make people mad. And it's like, or the California stop. So I had to like retrain myself to come to a complete stop, because in my brain it feels wrong, because I was so used to just doing it the other way. Now when I'm home in Chicago on home time, I annoy people because I come to a complete stop, and it's like, Jana, you don't have a camera, and that's not how we drive here. Don't be like that. So anyway, yeah, having a camera on you is not pleasant. When they would send me, I got sent maybe 2 videos at that company, and I could hear my conversation I was having with my friend on my headset. I don't think they should be able to record audio. I think that's really intrusive. It seems like an invasion of privacy, but whatever it is, look, I think the upside of having a camera on you is it's sort of like that little thing in the back of your head of like, oh, hey, I don't want to get these little videos sent to me. I don't want to have to waste my boss's time by them having to give me a call and tell me how to act like a good driver, which is something I should be doing anyway. So let me just be on top of things. It's one of those things when you're a newer driver. Some longtime drivers are like, F that, I don't want to deal with that. Sure, whatever. But for me, it's helped me stay a little bit more disciplined and just be more thoughtful about what I'm doing in the truck, especially not flipping people off when I really want to. That just looks bad. You just look like a jerk. So yeah, I have cameras on me, especially now that I'm working in fuel hauling. It's so much more sensitive. There are cameras all over my truck, including a backing camera, which is kind of cool, but threw me off at first. I couldn't look at it. Now I basically just use it to make sure that when I'm backing that there's no one anywhere near my trailer. It actually has a really nice like fisheye lens, so I can see it like all around me, and that to me is great. Let's see, what else was I gonna say? So yeah, do your stuff, cross your T's and dot your I's, because I wouldn't have been able to get hired by Gemini if I had been going around being stupid the first couple of years of trucking and gotten tickets and stuff. I wouldn't have been eligible to be hired by a company like this. And that's generally gonna be the case with some of these higher paying companies. Is with higher pay comes higher standards. Do all the things that you're supposed to be doing. Make sure that your truck is always in good working order. Don't get yourself sidelined, or don't end up on the side of the highway with a blowout, which most of the time really shouldn't happen if you're doing all of your checks properly. Of course, things can happen, but these are the kinds of things that differentiate a professional driver from a half-assed driver that is posing more danger on the road than they're avoiding. The biggest thing that I see constantly that blows my mind is when truck drivers tailgate cars or other trucks. It doesn't make any sense. There's no benefit to doing it. There's only a heightened level of danger, like dramatically higher. Why would you do that? It does not get you anywhere farther. Like being a bully on the road, that's a recipe for disaster. So that's a frustrating thing to see. But anyway, I'm going off topic here. So the other thing that I wanted to touch on was on the subject of like being a person who maybe can't see yourself in the environment of fuel hauling, or whether it's that or something else, because that's not the only trucking job that pays more. There's other things too. There's like car hauling is a great example. I know that can pay very well. I think of like, I'm not totally sure on this, but when I see like those custom critical FedEx, I would think that that probably pays better because you have to be with this, you know, very sensitive, whatever it is, cargo that they're hauling. But certainly things like car hauling and fuel hauling, you rarely see women. I almost never see other women doing it. It's other than flatbed, that's the other one that I would say, you know, you don't see women doing as often. But the reality is all of us are more adaptive than we think we are. Sure, some people are not going to be suited to certain things. That's fine. You have to know yourself and know what you're capable of and what you like to do and what makes sense for you. I just want to encourage anybody who's watching this who thinks, oh, I can't see myself doing something like that. Like it's too scary, it's too dangerous. If you're already trucking, you're already doing a very dangerous job. So give yourself credit for the fact that you are able to get yourself a CDL, able to even think about going to CDL school and then make the jump to doing it and then get in a truck. And you know, you all know what it's like, those of you who've done it, how scary it is, how intimidating it is the first time, and how you feel like you just feel inept when you try to back this thing. And there's so many things about it, but you got past those basic hurdles. And once you do that, you can do anything if you really want to. The other thing I would say is like, I think a lot about the forces that we experience, the physical forces as truck drivers. It's a really interesting experience, and like certain loads will feel different on your body when you're driving and can feel more scary. And the first example I always think of is like, right after one of the flatbed, I've done flatbed in two separate instances, and one of the times I was hauling aluminum coils quite a bit, and I actually enjoy that because like the type of securement is just, I don't know, something about it felt satisfying. There's a level of fear to it, but it's like it forces you to really just pay attention to everything you're doing, and I think that is getting your brain involved more, getting your body involved more. It changes the way you experience the job in a way that I enjoy and find satisfying. So after that job, I was at a dry van company, and I did a load of coils in a dry van, which felt very wrong to me, and I am not 100% sure how they had those secured in the trailer. If I'm remembering correctly, it was like there was something bolted to the floor of the trailer. Obviously it was being done in a way that was legal, but it still felt, I did not like it. And then the way that I felt the weight, I was going through mountains. I was coming from, I want to say it was in like New Jersey that I picked up the loader. So it was something out east. I was going through like mountains in Pennsylvania and stuff coming back toward the Midwest. And I just remember like anytime I would go over a bump, it felt like my spine felt like an accordion. I felt like it was so bouncy. It felt like I felt like I was riding a bullet. It felt so like the power of the weight of that load, the way the load is like centralized behind you can feel really nerve-wracking. That's how that felt. I did not like that. I don't ever want to haul anything like that in a dry van again. Like put it on a flatbed and secure it the right way, please. Like I don't know. But so with fuel hauling, I was really scared about the way it would feel and like the ability to control it and stuff like that. And yeah, it does feel different. I still feel like I cannot back that trailer to save my life. And before that, I was working for GP Transco. I was hauling, that was the company I was working for when I hauled those coils in the dry van. It was real weird. Anyway, I can say that now because I had been sharing about working at GP and showing it in my videos and stuff. But anyway, GP, they do a lot of spot market freight. So I would have to back into these like mom and pop, like these narrow docks between like employees' cars and stuff off of a street. I had to do that often. So I got really proficient at backing and I really enjoyed it. And then I came here and started doing tanker, and like, you don't back tankers that often. Like generally speaking, you're pulling forward through racks and you can only go forward. They don't want you to back once you're in a certain area you can't back. So when I do have to back into a spot, even with a backing camera, I feel like, what is my deal? Like I can't ever feel like I got it down. It's very annoying. Now maybe it's partly because I have super singles on my trailer. I'm gonna find any excuse that works. I'm just kidding. But the way it feels, so I have a shorter lengthwise tank, a shorter trailer, and a shorter height-wise tanker. It's only 10 feet 2 inches, and the length of it is 40 something. I should know that, but it's over 40, but it's not anywhere near 53. The weight, I still weigh almost 80,000 pounds, so I'm fully loaded. The weight feels more centralized, so it feels more comfortable to haul it, if that makes sense. And then the other thing that I would say to think about, if you're somebody who's like scared of tanker and you're like, oh, I don't know, because hauling liquids can be a scary thing to think about, but the types of trailers that we use in fuel hauling are baffled trailers, which basically means that there are dividers inside the trailer that have holes in them that allow the liquid to move and flow through, but it sort of like puts the brakes on it, so it keeps the liquid from surging forward towards you or backward when you're stopping, starting. Those are the kinds of forces that are gonna feel more, they're more dangerous, you know? It's an adjustment, but the long story short is I want for more drivers to have hope that they can make a fair income. I think mileage pay shouldn't be legal. I feel like, you know, for anyone watching this who's not a truck driver who doesn't know, mileage pay, I should have said this in the beginning, mileage pay, in my estimation, is a loophole in labor law that enables trucking companies to not pay truck drivers to perform overtime or to be hostages in their trucks for long periods of time. So if you're working for a company where you're only getting paid by the mile, there is inevitably a lot of downtime when you're sitting in traffic or when you're sitting at customers. And in theory, they're going to give you some detention pay when you sit for 2 hours or more. But these companies are wise, and instead of paying a trucking company detention pay, which then the trucking company pays you a fraction of, they just keep you for almost 2 hours. They let you sit there, so that's 2 hours you can't get paid. You're sitting there. These are little things that steal your time, and you're not with your family that you're maybe supporting. You're not in your home that you're probably paying for. And I don't think that should be legal, because I think in so many other professions it would never ever happen. So I want to encourage other truck drivers to seek out hourly paid jobs, to walk away from the jobs that are not paying them what they deserve to earn. And if you're a driver with a good driving record and you want to do hazmat tanker, I want to encourage you and let you know that it's not so scary when you learn what to do. If you're a good, safe driver with a great record, I would definitely encourage you to apply at Gemini. They're definitely hiring. I can't say enough good about this company. I've had nothing but positive experiences. I have an income that I can now have a lot of financial freedom that I wasn't able to have before. In one of my most recent videos, I was grumbling about being burned out and stuff, but I am choosing to work the way I'm working. I know that if I were to ask to curtail it a little bit, I know that I wouldn't receive pushback, because they don't want me to be driving when I can't handle driving for, you know, exhaustion reasons or something. And also, I'm on my 34 and I'm in a hotel that I'm being reimbursed for, which is amazing, because this actually lets me get out of the truck, stretch my legs, exercise, do my laundry, and do all the things that we all want to do on our 34 and not be stuck in a truck stop. Instead, I'm comfortable and able to really relax. So anyway, all of you drivers deserve to be paid well for your work. We all work really hard. We are the reason that this country keeps moving. If you feel down about the job that you have and you feel like it's not serving you, seek something else, because you're worth it. And you're already putting yourself in danger by doing a dangerous job and doing a job that every single person in this country depends on. So you deserve to be paid properly for doing that. So that's my spiel. This is a long video. I don't know if I'll end up using it. Hopefully I will this time. But I thank you for watching. You know, don't forget to like and subscribe if you found this useful. I always try to make my videos useful, educational as much as they can be. So anyway, that's all I got for you. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.